On today's video, Squad and company are about to go up against the Water Camp. 554 and 401 against 538, 534, and 476 begins. And this is the first confrontation. The passes are being taken. The open field is being invaded. And in this video, we start the journey of a KVK that we've been waiting for a very long time. As 401 and 554, well, Squad, RX, and RB take out 3 kingdoms, or at least try to. So sit back, smash a like on the video, and let's go. Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Gekko Gaming. As the pass is about to go down, Zone 5 in Lost Kingdom 523 is about to open, and we are stoked. We've been waiting for this for a very long time. It's my first KVK with Squad. It's going to be a 2 versus 9, well, technically 1 camp against 2 camps that are allied and a 4th camp that is by itself. 9 kingdoms are going to go up against the 2, 401 and 554. And man, I am stoked to be doing this. Before we start though, don't forget to slap a like on this video and hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell to get a notification every time we upload a new video, because there's a lot of war content coming out very soon, and it's just gonna keep pouring out, just like these marches out of the pass. As we were the second team to grab the pass out, were the ones who grabbed first occupation on this level 4 pass, and we went through right after them and started going down on the field. Now, in Heroic Anthem, a lot has changed. First and foremost, the first confrontation is in a fairly big zone, as you can see right here. Folks started random TPing, caps right down here, managed to somehow TP right next to the pass of their opposition. You can see Death Squad in purple already TPing around. And the first part of this KVK and the war in this KVK takes place in a massively big area, which requires of you to build flags to get to each other for a fairly long while. For you to get around the middle of the area, which is where the sanctuary lays, you're looking at about between 14, 15 flags at least from each side. So building up to the point where rallies start hitting and flags start burning and all that takes a little bit of time. In Heroic Anthem, the first move, as you can see right here, is to take the open field. Now, if you're someone like Caps with over 100 and some million power and you don't mind sitting up there and doing your thing, what's the worst that'll happen? You'll get a 1 or 2 rallies on you before you can War Frenzy get out of there. In War Frenzy, worst case scenario, you can always random TP unless you get imprisoned. But then again, you can see our opposition lined up the forts right there. 476, 534, 538, all lined up their forts. And we didn't. I was like, what is going on? Folks are random TPing. Folks are flying down the field. We were literally walking down the field to get to this point right there, to get to where we can start doing some open field fights. But there were no TP, there were no forts, there was nothing like that. That was a little bit of a question mark. And in this scenario, we were currently using only 3 open field marches. I usually used 4 open field marches and 1 garrison march. But in this specific scenario, I think that we were a bit short on troops, or I don't know what it was. That was why we sent 3 marches and not 4. I think we had a 4th one that went home because it got wrecked. That's what happened here. But anyway, as you can see, open field fights all over the place. And this time around, I'm not recording and keeping my camera on where the most action is happening, but rather playing on the field. So all of this footage is kind of us trying to, through the crazy lag and while streaming and while it being 3 a.m., trying to figure out what we're doing and where we're open field fighting and what the plan is. I will say that for our first KVK with 401, I had my, for the record, I very much loved what went down towards the end, but I had my question marks about things. I wasn't very sure what was our flagging plan. I wasn't really sure where we were trying to get to. This was the first time in a very long time that I think that a KVK plan definitely, completely and utterly did not work. Every possible bad thing that could have happened. From an accidental flag delete that shouldn't have happened to not having enough crystals to build flags. I don't even know how he ended up at a point where squad had no crystals to build flags. At some point, at the very early stage, we were just low on crystals and not building flags. And this is not like a fault of any one individual. It was a combination of multiple things that happened. Folks who tried random TPing with too little power just got completely slammed. You can see right there, Seb and DS just going to town at a dude who is online but still taking massive amount of damage. I mean, the man's online and still getting absolutely swarmed without a care in the world. While all that was going on, our open field marches were marching backwards and things got very chaotic. I think that out of every other KVK, this one requires the most preparation for in what I've noticed, because there is a big gap of time in which flags don't meet just yet, in which the open field is still a little bit messy, forts are dropped, goals need to be determined, and in these zones, there are two main important items in that must be conquered. And that is the two bastions in the zone. And of course, there's also a sanctuary with 10% march speed. But the bastions are really where the money is at, because you really want to have those support skills, especially if you're at a point where you're going to lose that zone. You really want to try to get to the bastions as quickly as possible so you can at least unlock one of them. Now, in this particular situation, I mean, this man just went from 65 million power, 70 million power down to 60 and down to 0. They wouldn't let this poor man go, and I mean, he keeps healing and he keeps getting wrecked, and he keeps healing and he keeps getting wrecked. Now, of course, our boys are taking some damage. You're fighting a city full of troops and you're swarming the life out of it non-stop. But this guy at the same time had a few marches out of his city when this started, and then his kill count went stupendously well, but also, I mean, the damage they did to him was quite drastic. While this was going on, we're trying to figure out our way through the open field, trying to show you a little bit of open field love. We were working primarily with T4s and going up by the looks of it against T5s. And our reports seem to be very, very successful. I mean, 7,000 to this 156,000 damage done right there. It can't get any better than that, honestly. And we're looking at a situation in which I had many more troops than they did, which is how all of this winded down. But again, on the open field, you want to have the most troops, the best troops, and in this case, we were using T4 throughout the majority of the fight on the open field, until we pretty much ran out of T4s, and then we went for T5s. The trades were really, really nice. We were doing really good in the beginning, and I will tell you this, the first thing I've learned that is a huge mistake on my part that you must do in Heroic Anthem is, quite frankly, random TP in the beginning. If you can get yourself into this zone 5, leave your alliance, random TP to a nice spot, and then come back, until the flags start showing up and until the forts start being built, that is your time to random TP into the fight. Getting rallied in the zone 5, even where Caps was standing, which is super close to the pass, is a good 4-minute march, give or take. And so, why wouldn't you TP to the middle? Open field fight much quicker by letting your troops into your city and back. And the worst case scenario is you get imprisoned with a 12-minute march coming your way on a rally. Yeah, unless someone random TPs right next to you and gets the rally on you and those open field marches are next to him to reinforce him, the best thing you can do, trust me when I tell you, if you're looking for kills and if you have the power to do so, is to random TP in and go duke it out. 98 million power is plenty of power to random TP. I don't know why I didn't do it. That's a mistake that we've learned for next Heroic Anthem. It doesn't work the same in Zone 6, because in Zone 6, you're meeting pass to pass and flag to flag from the beginning. But Zone 5s, you should absolutely, if you're someone looking for kills and you have the power, random TP, send your marches out, go open field fight, because there is probably a good 3+ hours worth of open field madness until the flags start meeting. In this particular video, I primarily wanted to show you a little bit of the open field stuff that went down. I mean, it varied all the time. There were times in which we had stronger presence on the field and they backed off, and there was times when they had stronger presence on the field and we had to back off. It was a back and forth, a continuous back and forth of a lot of fun. I gotta say, because the zone is bigger, because the map is bigger, the lag was there, but it wasn't as crazy as in Light versus Darkness, where the zone is so small that you really can't get much done. On top of having to fight 476, 538, 534, we also had to keep our eye on 554, not to accidentally hit them on the field, which happened here and there, but it wasn't the craziest of things. Now let's talk for a moment about the meta of the open field, because the open field is all a matter of positioning. Whether you like it or not, if you're going to just hit something until it dies, you'll lose all your marches quicker than you can even notice. The name of the game in open field is to hit and go back, to go forth and back and forth, back and forth. When they're out of position, you come forward, hit them a little bit. When they start dragging you back into their position while you're out of position, you gotta back off. It's always a back and forth until a scenario like this. Once you're in a scenario like this where there is a big cloud that's just going at it and there is no like back and forth, and you can disappear within the cloud, it is very lucrative to just sit there and hit stuff. But in here, again, all that needs to happen is for the one march, as you can see, my march is right there. Oh, Lord, how far back they got pulled in. And we didn't notice, as you can see. And, ooh, we were surrounded by red. My Artemisia goes back home she goes. Ramses took a beating. Thankfully, I mean, Richard is a tank, so Richard survived. But Ramses goes down to yellow. Artemisia gone. And all that is exactly what I was mentioning to you all. You cannot just let the march fight in the open field. You have to kind of predict when you need to back off, essentially. And the only way to really know how this happens, to understand it, is by doing it and by being conservative. If you take even a split second too long, the lag might have actually made you move. You don't know, but you already moved a good couple of kilometers down. You moved a little bit down enough. And by the time you realize you got to back off, you're already too far forward. So it's like hit, back off, hit, back off, hit, back off continually. If you're, of course, not caring to lose your marches, then you just in and Lord have mercy on your soul, right? If you think you can end up in a positive trade, you're sticking your march in there and hope and pray you get positive trades out of 20 times surrounds. I can't stop you from that. We had imprisons going around. We had rallies going down. I mean, Stevo actually ended up taking a rally later in this video, and it was a very, very fun rally for him by random TPing. But really, the first, I would say, few hours of Heroic Anthem Zone 5 is strictly open field fights, and it's where you can get a lot of kills if you know what you're doing. This account was never an open field fighter. This account was a rally filler and a garrison for a very long time. It's an archer's rally leader as well, technically, but we hadn't used the rally in a while. We will be using it in a future video in this war, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel and, of course, smash a like on the video if you're enjoying the content so far. But yeah, I don't really intend on talking through the whole video. Just want you guys to enjoy some of the footage. There is a massive rally report and more reports coming in later in the video, so make sure you watch till the end. And yeah, I mean, we tried rallying, we tried doing things, but at the end of the day, the distance between cities is too big and flags is too big for anyone to get anything done. As I mentioned, this account was never an open field fighter. I never really had it set up for open field. And so when we came into this KVK, the goal was to try to get ourselves a decent 4-march open field presence so we can go on and do what we need to do. And while all that was going down, we were speeding up researches to get more bang out of our buck. And I truly think that the research despair between me and the folks we were fighting was severe enough that it made a huge difference. In this scenario right here, we were already flagged out. We already were on our way towards the enemy was coming up our way, and we were pushing forward. You can see we pulled out our marches, and we're already in the cloud fighting and ready to rock and roll. This account needs a little bit of a rework. The rework needs to come in the form of open field fights and rally leaders a little bit more. When we migrated to 401, that was the plan. The plan was not to stick with what we have, but rather use what we have to work on better open field marches and arc marches. And then by the time we reach the point where we are synced with 401, we'll start working on the newer commanders. So I came in with a Zenobia, which I expertised, and Zenobia is not even available in Mightiest Governor yet. We're waiting on Chandra Mightiest Governor, which comes out next Mightiest Governor. And so I still have a little bit of time to accumulate more sculptures and prepare myself for future commanders. But in terms of Mightiest Governor, my next Mightiest Governor is only going to be Nebuchadnezzar, and all the way until then, Lord have mercy, we have 2 months until that happens, and then we'll probably expertise him. And so in the middle, we built up 4 open field marches. Artemisia YSG, Ramses Tamiris, Richard Alex, and Saladin William. Now, out of all 4 marches, I gotta say, the MVP by far was Saladin William. Saladin William is a crazy good open field march, and it's also a very good arc march, by the way, so it was a 2-for-1 for me. Ramses Tamiris did stupid amounts of damage to all the infantry, and Artemisia YSG just kept doing madness stuff. And believe it or not, Richard Alex did a ton of damage too. When you debuff the heck out of any march with a little bit of Artemisia, with a little bit of Tamiris, with a little bit of love along the way, with a little bit of Saladin debuffs and things like that, all of a sudden anything hitting it just will do tons of damage. And so we were picking and choosing our battles, going after cavalry, going after infantry, going after archers. Archers, of course, were our primary target. We have 3 archers and a cav. Again, an infantry against archers is great. Infantry was our next big thing. Our 2 archers did hella good against the infantry. And finally, the cavs were... We would clean cavs out, no problem, too. But again, some of them were harder to kill than others. I love these kinds of Charles Martel combos, the Richard combos, the Constantines. Open field fights need to... if you want to be successful at them, you really got to pick and choose your battles. I love Constantines. They're great. They're great to snack on. Minamotos are great to snack on. Archers are always great to snack on, and I took a lot of damage of that. And yeah, this was the first few hours. I mean, we're looking at an hour and a half into the fight. We're already a little bit flagged out, but we got more flags to go down. And I mean, things got very, very hairy very, very quickly. Throughout this video, you're going to see the progression of the open field all the way until our flags start meeting. And in the next video, we're going to start talking about flags, rallies, garrison, and a little bit of the harshness that was Zone 5. As Squad took a massive beating in the beginning, in our first push on our first day, due to many issues beyond not only having crystals, but also a lot of other logistics that went sideways really badly. We actually end up losing our first day, and that's the only spoiler I'm going to give you. Although if you watched the 20 plus hours of streams, you kind of know what happened. But in this particular scenario, we're still open field fighting, still trying to get our territories done. Unfortunately for us, we had on our side a Julius Caesar bastion, which is a bastion that's meant for city rallies and city fights in general. On their side, they had Charles Martel. Charles Martel, at his peak, is 30% extra counter damage, which is kind of bonkers to think of. And so you can get a bastion done within 2 days worth of quests. So less than 30 quests will get you a level 6 bastion. So as long as they can hold on to their bastion for at least over 1 day, they can easily get that support skill done, and then they don't care about the bastion anymore. The same applies for us with Julius Caesar. However, because we are going to have a little bit of a struggle coming up in the next video, you're going to notice that we had a little bit of a back foot when it comes to bastion skills and support skills. At this stage, we were really just flagging slowly and steadily and making our way, but the plan was to try to get to the forts and not let them build. But due to lack of crystals, flags weren't built, and due to a little bit of a snafu in the plan that happened. And I mean, I can say that in a KVK, 1 or 2 things can go wrong, but in this KVK, a lot of what could have gone wrong went wrong. It wasn't just 1 or 2 things. And so we walked our way down, built our way down, made our way through, and yeah, that's about that. I don't have that much more to add into this beyond to tell you that enjoy the open field fights a lot. They're a lot of fun. They'll give you a good amount of kills if you know what you're doing. And truly, like, people ended up with 20 million kills out of just the first few confrontations. So don't give up on the open field. And hopefully this account will start doing even better on the open field as we expertise more commanders for fighting. But we're going to really have our shining moment when it comes to garrisons and when it comes to retaking this zone, because ladies and gentlemen, trust me when I tell you, you don't want to miss out on the Zenobia videos coming out. The guys in 538 pretty much hate my Zenobia, and you'll find out why momentarily. Well, in a few videos in the next couple of days. This was what we wanted to do, where we wanted to get to, but without the tens of flags that we needed, which were being built, but at a slower rate, it was really tough to catch up with the folks of 538, 534, and 476. There is a lot more to come. We're going to still drop a nice little fort, which was the saving grace for our attempts and efforts. Thankfully, our fort drops, and when that fort was built successfully, even though it burned for a day or two, for a day-ish, it still survived for a fairly long while for us to be able to mount a counterattack and come back into this. But that first fight against SS-34, against V-538, against 476, it was SG-34. It was just so much fun, and they were so strong and on the open field. I'm really looking forward to see what Zone 6 brings, and I hope y'all are looking forward for the extra videos of this zone, because we have at least 2 more to come with the ups and downs that happened to show you how we got wrecked in day 1 and then came back in day 2 to get to the point where we're at today. Video's not over, though. In a few moments, you'll get to see Steve-O's rally and the crazy report. I mean, I'm very jealous of the men, and a little bit of extra open field, as well as give you a little bit of a sneak peek as to the status at the end of this video, and of course where we would be in the timeline. So I'll be back, give you a little bit of fun time with the content, and I'll come back at the end to give you a little bit of a preparation for the next video. This is in theory the plan, and again, it worked out slowly and steadily. We made our way in, but I can tell you that we were a little bit slower to the party than we wanted to be. And what ended up happening was a lot more open field fights in areas where we didn't want to necessarily have to open field fight like this. We're trying to push down to the forts areas. We're trying to rally the forts, not let their forts build. But again, it happens. It totally happens. Nothing works. Not everything works as expected. And hey, this just prolonged our open field fights. I can tell you that there's a lot of marches that I don't believe I saw on the field. I saw madness stuff in the field. I mean, at some point, we even saw like Sun Tzu Joan marches, full T5s on the field kind of thing. But at the same time, there were some very great marches out there. A lot of infantry. We're seeing a lot of favoritism on infantry. A lot of Charles Martel, Scipio marches out there to get that Charles Martel to do counter damage as much as humanly possible. Honestly, the infantry have taken over the open field in a massive way, which they're slower, but they are doing a lot of damage. There are some archers nowadays on the field as well, which is great because that's what I usually feared. Back in the day, open field was a lot of cavalry, a little bit of infantry, and any archers that came out were just like dead. Now, it's a matter of a lot of infantry on the field, some cavalry on the field, and some archers on the field. Infantry has overtaken the open field. The reason for that is Attila Takeda. Attila Takeda pretty much destroys anything and everything on the open field in terms of kills, and the one thing that can really counter it is Alexander Guan Yu Leonidas. We're seeing a lot of those now on the field. Some Richard Alex is doing great work against Attila Takeda too. My Richard Charles Martel used to do very good against Attila Takeda as well. So folks are bringing out Attila Takeda on the open field to get a ton of kills, and you do get a ton of kills with Attila Takeda. But now the field has gotten to a point where the majority is infantry, and the next most used are cavalry and then archers. But because infantry is the predominant one, archers are not instantly demolished. Archers are not instantly swarmed by Khans and Saladins and Attila Takedas and Minamotos and just going out the window like that. You can see right there a little bit of misplacement. We're trying to stay within the blue. We're not trying to go be everybody's snack. The one thing that you want to keep an eye on when you're in the open field, like Scipio Joan on the field, for crying out loud. But the one thing you want to keep your eyes on the field is you don't want to be the one being targeted, but at the same time, you don't want to be baiting your alliance mates. To an extent, you want to be in the field with them, and you want to be around them, and at any opportunity you can jump on something, you jump on something. You can see our marches were like, whoo, Ooh, Lord have mercy, way back way. And we need to, I mean, we got to get out of here before they realize that there is a rogue Gekko. And they realize there was a rogue Gekko really quickly. Watch that Ramses go down, that Artie go down. Those two, my Saladin just took a beating. The squishy marches, all of them were out of placement and all of them got wrecked. And this is what you'd want to avoid, essentially. You want to be within your crew, within your folks, and together work. I think that the open field has to have priorities. You should be prioritizing support marches first. So you really want to get rid of Constantines. You really want to get rid of Ethelfleds. You really want to get rid of Guans. You really want to get rid of Artemisias and Archers, of course. But Constantines are a really, really important thing to get rid of. I think that Artemisias are, Ethelfleds are a very important thing to get rid of. We're seeing some Mulans on the field behind Saladins that you gotta keep your eyes on the marches. Focus the supports first, because if you focus the support first, then the damage dealers will do much less damage, obviously. If the support marches you're using are, ooh, that's a nice little 4-day hospital. If the support marches that your opposition is using are buffing up the damage dealers and you're hitting the damage dealers, you're actually going to take a ton of damage in the process. You don't want to be doing that. And here comes Steve-O's rally going nuts. He was imprisoned. Not that I think he cares much. That Attila Takeda of his, he has a good amount of troops. You'll see in a moment exactly how many. That Attila Takeda got reinforced, which is good for him. He's online. He doesn't care. He hasn't even, his garrison has barely moved with the Charles Martel Theodora on the wall. Exactly what you need against that Attila Takeda and the AoE with a lot of marches on the open field around him. I mean, he's trying to drag marches in. And when the rally went away and the dust settled, 1.2 million dead to the 300k severely wounded on the 11.8 million troop city. I don't know whether imprisoning him was a really good idea, but they did. They rallied. And at 1.2 million kills, I mean, hell yeah. Add to that the 300k T5s right there. Nice little support march trying to help out and losing in the process. Another 200k T5s there. Another 200k T5 dead. Another 150k T5s dead. We're looking at another million T5s dead before Steve-O even flinched. Look at this. I mean, hundreds of thousands of T5s just demolished. And this could be you if you random TP around. I mean, a Sun Tzu. Oy vey. I mean, all of the T5s are just, all of this is T5s. All the deads on this report are T5s, and as, well, maybe he got down to 1.8 million troops severely wounded. He killed like 3 million T5s right there. Just right there with that one rally plus swarm all over the place. And yeah, that was one of many to come. We wanted to take a rally, but I guess we were a bit, I didn't think it through. I should have probably random TP'd, taken a rally early, and then fallen back and started fighting in the open field. But instead we fought on the open field and did not end up taking a rally. At this scenario, at this stage, I'm not in a shape where I can take a rally anymore. Maybe I will be when Zone 6 is open up. We might have enough troops to go ahead and do that. But yeah, I mean, my goodness, this was crazy. The next thing to come is, of course, the flag fights. And we are making our way up, and away. In a second, I will show you the current status of the open field and the buildings and the flags and how we got, and set you up for the next video to come. Caps getting rallied, Steve-O getting rallied, but none of them really got rallied. All of them just, nobody really got sent out. These guys threatened, but never did it. And so you can see right here the situation in which we're going to wrap up this video. The fort is being built. Squad has a few unnecessary flags that we really didn't need on the side, on the wall. Add to that the fact that we dropped the fortress, and that fortress was a key to our success. We needed that fortress to build. The folks in 554 have already reached the sanctuary and are trying to wrap around the sanctuary, but they're having a little bit of a tough time, as they managed to take out, I believe, 1 or 2 of the forts of 538, but a couple of these forts did end up building at the end. And that's where the fighting really began, around the sanctuary. And so as we try to still as many open field marches as we can, I think it's about time to wrap up this video. So I'm Gekko. I'm out of here. I appreciate it. If you want to drop the like on this video and of course subscribe to the channel. More to come. This is only the beginning. This was 3 hours of open field fights and building our way through, telling you the story from the beginning till this point. I think there's a lot to learn out of the open field marches that you see on the field. See what you see more and how you can prepare better for open field fights by just looking at the commanders out there and how they perform and what they do. In the next video, we're going to start flag fighting and we're going to start getting beaten down. So you don't want to miss out that video. It's going to come out sooner rather than later. And until the next time, take care. Have a great rest of your week. And I appreciate all of you for your continuous support regardless of anything. You guys have always been amazing. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And hopefully I can get you more awesome war content soon. Take care and have a good one. Peace.